Wampanoag. Now we're going to start it today and we're going to read a little bit every day. As we read, be on the lookout for those nonfiction text features. See how they're helping us better understand the story, and ask yourself, why did the author include these? What are they hoping that I learn? And before I even get started, I can look here on the title of my book, and I've got a nonfiction text feature right here. What do you think that one is? Yeah, it looks like a caption. It's pointing to her and it says, there were about 30,000 Wampanoags before the Pilgrims arrived. Now, you might remember that the Wampanoag are a Native American group that lived where we now have Massachusetts. So, this is the group of Native Americans that were there before Europeans arrived. All right. And I'm going to start here with a non-fiction text feature. You guys know what this one is called? Yeah, it's a table of contents. So take a look about what we are expecting to learn from this book. And then ask yourself, why did the author include a table of contents? What was their goal? You might have noticed that their goal was to show you all the different things you're going to learn. You might have noticed it helps you find the different parts you're looking for. So the table of contents helps us know what to expect. All right, it says, this map shows where the Wampanoag lived before the Europeans arrived and where the Wampanoag live today. So this yellow part here we know is the United States, and the purple is now what is Canada. That's not how it was when the Europeans first arrived. And here's a smaller map with a box. This shows me that this bigger map is if I took this tiny section of the map and exploded it, made it bigger so I could see. I can also see this light color in the key or legend. Shows me that right here in what is now Massachusetts, that light color is the Wampanoag land at the time of European contact. So when the Europeans first came over. And now these two red dots, this is the Wampanoag land today. Their lands have been greatly reduced by the Europeans. So think about, why did the author include this map? What did they want us to see? All right, here we go. Chapter 1, A Place in History. The Wampanoag lived in what are today Rhode Island and eastern Massachusetts. According to their tradition, they have been there since the dawn of time. Scientists believe the Wampanoag arrived sometime after the last ice age. By 1000 CE, they had borrowed ideas such as farming from a Midwestern culture called the Hopewell. Later, the Wampanoag enjoyed an alliance with their neighbors, the Massachusetts and Nauset peoples. I want to point out when they say they borrowed farming from the Hopewell, that was another Native American group that lived more in the Midwest of what is now the United States. At the time, it was not the United States yet, and they learned farming from a group that was more in the Midwest. It says here we've got a sidebar. The word Wampanoag means people of the first light, or people of the dawn. Wonder why the author included that sidebar. What do you think? Strangers off the coast. In 1524, the Wampanoag made contact with Europeans who had traveled across the Atlantic Ocean. Giovanni de Verrazzano, an Italian explorer working for France, sailed his ship Dolphin into a bay in present-day Rhode Island. From there, he traded goods with local Wampanoag. Fishing boats and traders soon followed Verrazzano's lead. One type of goods Europeans wanted was slaves. They kidnapped Wampanoag and enslaved them to work in Europe. So there's a boat similar to what Verrazzano would have used. And it tells us here in the caption to this photo, Giovanni de Verrazzano landed in what is today's Newport Harbor in Rhode Island. What do you think the author wanted us to focus on? Did you notice any contrasts or contradictions? Things you didn't expect? Squanto. Ooh, there's a subheading. In 1614, slave trader Thomas Hunt captured about 20 Wampanoag and sold some of them in Spain. One of the slaves, Squanto, had trained to become a special advisor warrior for the sachem, or chief, in Patuxet, his home village. This training included learning to ignore pain by doing painful things, not eating for long periods, and forcing himself to throw up over and over. Here's a picture. And here's a sidebar. The Wampanoag called an advisor warrior a panis. Here's the caption for this photo. Squanto is remembered for helping Europeans who settled in the Northeast. Once in Spain, Squanto convinced his owners to let him return home. His training helped him deal with struggles on the way. In London, he learned English working for a shipbuilder named John Slaney. When Slaney returned to America, he took Squanto with him as his translator. Squanto soon joined explorers heading south along the coast. When he arrived outside Patuxet in 1619, however, he saw an awful sight. His people were gone. Now I can't remember how long he's been gone. I'm going to go back and look when he got kidnapped. He was kidnapped in 1614, and he returned home in 1619. So in those 5 years that he was gone, his people vanished. Death among the Wampanoag. In 1616, so 2 years after he was kidnapped, an epidemic had struck native peoples along the coast. Some experts think smallpox and other diseases killed 9 out of every 10 Wampanoag. As Squanto wandered the region, he saw entire villages empty of people. But the Wampanoag who remained soon faced another threat. Because so few of them had lived, they could not defend their lands against other native peoples hit less hard by the disease. Let's look at this caption and this photo. This photo looks more like it's a print of an engraving where they've cut away some of it and then they put ink down and make like a stamp out of it. Smallpox and other diseases brought by the Europeans killed huge numbers of Wampanoag and other native peoples. What does the author want us to understand? All right, and that's where we're going to pause for today. Tomorrow we'll continue with this book and look for some more nonfiction text features.